Okay, everybody, it's 7 o'clock by our clock here, and so we're so excited that you've come. I'm Dondi Costin, the president of Charleston Southern University, and we're excited about all kinds of things today. We're excited because we are getting back to some semblance of normalcy. We're looking forward to what the Lord's going to do this semester. We know this is going to be unique. We know it's going to be different. But we also know we're going to make lots of progress. Your students, your precious cargo are going to be in good hands, and we're going to make the absolute best of the situation, academically, spiritual formation wise, and we're going to do everything that we can to keep everyone on our campus safe as possible, as well as to make sure that we have an effective educational experience along the way. And so I just wanted to say to you how grateful I am that you have raised these young men and women. And I know that there's some trepidation on your part as you send them from the nest to our campus. But just know that in every classroom, in every back office, in every place on our campus, there is a brother and sister in Christ who's praying for your child, who loves your child and who wants to make sure that they have the best possible educational experience, because we take seriously our mission statement, which includes the phrase academic excellence in a Christian environment. We take very seriously our vision statement, which includes the phrase integrating faith in learning, leading, and serving. And certainly we take seriously our impact statement. Which is what we do. We're preparing servant leaders to pursue significant lives. And we're going to do that in every corner of the campus. We have no idea how long the pandemic will last. We have no idea about when there's going to be a vaccine. We have no idea about how effective that vaccine is going to be when the time comes. What we do know is that God is on his throne, and that we are people of faith. And we move forward in faith, knowing that Jesus Christ is our King, and the kingdom that over which he is King includes the campus and the students, faculty, and staff of Charleston Southern. So, thanks so much for being here tonight. This session is being recorded. You'll have opportunities to ask questions along the way. There's a chat box. Our own Jenna Johnson is monitoring those. And so I'm going to turn it over here right now to our Dean of Students, who, if he looks tired, it's because he is. Right? So he hasn't gotten much sleep the last few weeks, but because we're making preparations to have this semester on our campus in the middle of a pandemic for the glory of God and the good of other people. And so, Clark, thanks to you and your team for all the work that you've done. And I look forward to seeing how this transpires tonight. So over to you, Clark.
Thank you, Dr. Costin. We're excited about getting moving here. And like Dr. Costin said, it's going to be recorded tonight. You can watch it later if you've missed something. I know I talk kind of quickly. I'll try to slow down for us. And also, there's a Q&A box. There's a comment box. We really want you to focus on the Q&A box. If you have questions, we've got some of our staff online who can help answer those questions for you. So without further ado, we're going to get moving. Our goal is to be through within an hour or so. But again, this will be recorded. If we go over a little bit, that's fine. So we're glad to have you here. Let me pray for us before we jump in with both feet, and then we'll get rolling in high gear. So let me pray. Lord, as we gather together tonight, I do thank you for a chance to be with these parents, Lord. What a exciting and a little bit scary and, Lord, this is a joyous time to see our children go off to college. So I pray, Lord, that you would give us wisdom, help us to lead well, help us to do all we can do, Lord, to make sure they're successful. And we'll give you the glory for all of it in Christ's name. Amen. All right. Well, let's get rolling here. If I can get the PowerPoint moving. That's me. I'm VP for Student Life, Dean of Students, and I've been working with college students now over, for students, well over 30 years. And I've been at Charleston Southern now for 18 years. First 9 years as campus minister, and now the last 9, almost 10 years, I've been the Dean of Students, VP for Student Life. So I'm in the Student Center, and that's my contact information. Where our door is always open to meet and talk to parents and students. All right, so I want to go over something with you very quickly. Try to help you for your student to be successful on our campus. And they're really, this generation is called Generation Z. And tonight I'm going to look at briefly with you, how can we help them be successful in the FOG-19 confusion. And I got to give props out to Tim Elmore. Dr. Tim Elmore is a great friend of mine in Growing Leaders. Some of these statistics and ideas came from him, so I want to give him a shout out for that. But so Generation Z, how can we help our students? These are, I mean, I'm 50 something years old, and these are some interesting times we're in. I've been working in higher education now for almost 20 years, and I've never seen anything like it. So it's going to be exciting times, to say the least. But let me ask you a few things here. If you think about this, it's kind of interesting. Would you have believed it if someone had told you 5 months ago that schools would be having a difficult time opening this fall? Would you believe that? 5 months ago, back in March, February, March, that schools going to have a hard time opening in the fall. We thought we might be closed maybe for a week or two, maybe, but we'll be right back at it. And we're still having discussions around the country. Is it safe for schools to open? And then all public gatherings, including sporting events, would be canceled. And the few sports that are playing have no fans to attend. My son works for the Baltimore Orioles, and he's there, there at Camden Yards in Baltimore, and with a stadium with nobody in it and teams are playing. And who would have thought that would have happened just a few months ago? It's crazy. And then, of course, hundreds of millions globally would be out of work. It's an economic challenge, to say the least, in our world and in our country. Who would have thought just a few months back that the government would attempt to provide basic income for families just to make ends meet? That time to be so difficult. We just came a few months back from being one of the greatest economic booms in the history of our country to people living literally from paycheck to paycheck, and they do not know where their next dollar is coming from. And then also, who would have thought 5 months ago that people would take orders from the government to stay in their homes for weeks on end? I never forget, it's ingrained in my mind, driving down I-26 going to work one morning. They had the sign that the highway department put on a road, the DOT, that said, "Go home, stay home." And I said, man, who would ever thought we'd see the day when the government says, you go home and you stay home? And it was just kind of crazy. And it's hard to believe that we're at that point in the country. And then who would have thought just 5 months ago, it'd be against the law to gather with your friends or even to attend church or even go to the beach here in Charleston. There have been different times during this pandemic, you could not do those things or you'd be breaking the law. So who would have thought just 5 months ago we would be here? I certainly didn't. I don't think anybody could say they did. So looking at how generations perceive our world and how things are moving in these challenging times, I want to share just a diagram with you. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It's pretty fascinating. And Tim Elmore talks about this in some of his writings, but really we have 5 generations coming of age in our country. You have the builders, 1929 to 1945. They're known as the silent generation. Just put your head down, get it done. You have the boomers. Yay, boomers, that's me. And they were pig and a python generation. That is, you see a python swallow a pig, it's about to pop. That was when, after the wars were over, people came home, we had a big baby boom. You have the boomers. Then you have the busters, Generation X, 1965 to 1982. And then you have the millennials, Generation Y, 83 to 2000. And then the homelander, Generation Z. And that is your students that are coming to college right now. So look, if you will, real briefly at the life paradigms. And I'm just going to skim through these again just quickly because I don't want to spend too much time on this. But life paradigm for the builders, be grateful you have a job. I mean, my granddad and people around his age in their 80s and 90s was, just be thankful you got a job. And then the boomers came back and he kind of had the mindset, you owe me. I've worked hard and we built this country. You kind of owe me. And then you had the busters, the life paradigm was, hey, let's keep it real. Let it be real. Don't make it facade and fake. Let it be real. And then you had the millennials, which life is a cafeteria. I mean, choose what you want, leave what you don't want, and just kind of roll through life. And life is just pick what you want. We want choices. And then you got the homelanders. I'm coping and I'm hoping. This generation, I mean, they've got tremendous pressures, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But they're just coping and hoping that things will turn out well, is a good way to look at this generation. View of authority, builders, you respect authority. Boomers, you replace them, get them out of office. Busters, and that's the past, just endure them. Millennials, we'll vote them out, we'll choose them. Homelanders, many of them are thinking, I'm not sure if I even need them. Do we even need people in authority figures? We can do this on our own. I mean, we've got the internet, we've got good friends, and we're smart. We can figure it out on our own. And so it's a different mindset. And then view the future. This is really important. That builders, I mean, terrible, difficult times, we got to stabilize things. Boomers, we're going to build it. We're going to create it. Busters saw the futility in that. They were a little bit skeptical. The millennials, YOLO, you only live once. I mean, go out and live large. Lots of cafeteria, get what you want and go get it. But the Homelanders, this generation of students, have the fear of missing out. I mean, to our students, the ones, what happened last year in March, whenever we closed down our campus and campuses across the country, you could see it in the eyes of our students, the fear of, I'm not going to be able to get this back again. I mean, I'm missing out on something that would be great and powerful. And so they carry that with them. They have a fear of missing something that could be life transforming. So we have a responsibility really at CSU, and I've challenged all my staff and our folks at CSU, and a calling to help mature students that God has entrusted to us. I'm not going to read this whole passage from Titus 2, 1 through 8, but it basically says we're supposed to help the younger generation to learn how to live life. We have a responsibility as educators, not just to teach them math, English, literature, all those kind of things, but to teach them life skills, how to be successful in life. And we take that very seriously at Charleston Southern. So how has COVID-19 increased this challenge? How has it made it more difficult for us to help our students to be successful? Well, society's uncertainty has only added to their anxiety. The uncertainty has only added to their anxiety. That it's hard to know what we're doing next week, much less today. And so they're very anxious. We also know that humans are social creatures. That's why in the old days, solitary confinement was considered punishment. And so, we're social creatures, and to have to live in isolation with social distancing and masks and stuff is difficult. And we're all struggling with that. Scarcity fills our mindsets and problems feel overwhelming. I mean, we don't think of a mindset of plenty. We have a lot. We've been blessed with a lot. We've been given a lot. But rather, we struggle with feelings of being overwhelmed with things around us. So we have a scarcity mindset. And then future career prospects are now uncertain and troubling. So what they thought their future looked like now all of a sudden been turned on its head because, I mean, again, just 5 months ago, we thought we'd be watching sports and going on vacations and doing all these things, and all that has changed. So what is my future going to hold, when I go to college and when I get out? Well, we at CSU, under Dr. Costin's leadership and senior leadership and all of our CSU family, we're choosing our outcomes. And what we're going to do for your students and do for each other on campus, our campus community, is we're going to offer extra mile service. I mean, we've challenged all of us on our teams, not just to do enough to get by and not just to do your job, but help someone else do their job. Help our students to be successful. Go the extra mile. And I can give you an example. We had a parent who had a hard time finding a COVID testing site. And me and our COVID director and some other of our staff members spent probably almost a half a day trying to help them find a site for their student to get tested. And so it's that type of service, extra mile service, that we want to put forth. We're not going to always get it right, but that's our heart's desire, is to be extra mile servants. Jesus said that. Someone asked you to take their luggage for a mile, you take it 2 miles. Secondly, a passion for student success. We are passionate about our students being successful in the classroom, out of the classroom. We're going to do everything that we can through tutoring services, which are included in tuition, to all kinds of services that we have, counseling services. You'll get to meet our director of counseling, Kimberly Perkins, in a minute. But we have a lot of resources to help your students to be successful. We've got a passion to see them to succeed. Then innovation across the institution. Innovation across our institution. We're doing some creative things that even just a few weeks ago, I would have thought we could do. And I'll give you one example. Since we're limited on spaces on campus where our students can gather because of CDC guidelines, we went out and rented 2 tents that were 40 feet by 100 feet put them outside, connected them with other tents. And today, Dr. Costin said, with all of us being tired today, we spent 2 hours hanging lights under those tents. So we can have a place for our students to gather in a safe distance outside. A little bit warm now, but it'll cool off soon. But we've even got fans to circulate air above their heads to help keep air moving, which is a safety feature as well. So that kind of innovation you'll see all across campus, people really trying their best to make sure our students are happy. And then last but certainly not least, the Christian community. I mean, if we don't clearly share Jesus with our students, then we fail to do our mission at CSU. And I've said this before at several meetings. If all we've done for your student is give them a degree, that's great, but haven't told them about the gospel and the thing in life, the person in life that can change their trajectory in their life, then we have missed it. So we want to create a Christian community that we're not going to beat people over the head with the family-sized King James Bible. Don't worry about that. But we're going to love them and give them a chance to go to small group Bible studies and go to larger worship gatherings and to go on some mission projects down the road. So we're pretty excited about the opportunity to be a unique campus that is a Christian community. So we've got challenges ahead of us for sure. Now, we can't direct the winds. We know that because the Bible said that the wind comes and goes where it chooses. That's something that, again, none of us would find ourselves in the situation, but we can adjust our sails. And so we're making an attempt to adjust our sails on campus so that your students can be successful. How are we doing that? Let me just share a few ways with you. And if you've got questions, feel free to go to that Q&A site, enter your question there, and we'll do our best to answer them for you. So how can we adjust our sails? Here's what we've done. We're doing our best to be fluid, to be flexible, to move with the wind. I mentioned that earlier, what it says in the book of John, in John 3:8, that the wind blows where it wishes. And so here what we've done is we want to follow the leading of the Spirit. Dr. Costin mentioned that at the very beginning, that we're a faith-based school and we believe that where God guides us, he will provide for us. And there's no challenges too great for God to not overcome. And the Bible teaches very clearly that greater is he who's in us than he who's in the world. So we're going to follow what the Spirit says. And then we're going to prepare for new processes, procedures in the fall. In sanitation, Jenna Johnson, earlier Dr. Costin mentioned, her team did a great job with our Buck Safe program. I'll talk about that in a second. But sanitation stations are all around campus, places to wash your hands. Every student's given, we're going to give them masks to wear on campus as well. They need to probably bring some of their own, but we're going to do all we can do to make sure that they are safe on our campus. We're going to limit the size of our gatherings. Our chapel normally holds over 1,500, but we're not going to put nearly that many people in there because of CDC guidelines. We're going to make sure your students are safe. That's why we got that big tent outside to give us more outdoor space to gather. But we're going to limit the size of our gathering. We've got to, the size of our classrooms. We just want to be safe, not foolish, but be safe for your students. And then new testing and hopefully vaccines, as Dr. Costin prayed earlier, for the future. We're excited about, well, let me go ahead and jump down and I'll cover this in a second. I mentioned Buck Safe earlier. We've got a campaign, really it all circles around this one issue. We as believers, the Bible says we should love our neighbors as ourselves. So the first commandment, love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second's like it, you love your neighbor as yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to challenge our students and our campus and our faculty and staff and coaches and everyone is care enough for your fellow student to wear a mask and social distance. I mean, so some people, it didn't work. Okay, it doesn't work. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I would hate to know that my lack of discretion caused one of our 80-year-old faculty members, I can think of one, to get sick and go to the hospital. So we're going to take responsibility to take care of one another. And then lastly, see federal health care. We're really excited this year for the first time. We're going to have health care provided on our campus on Wednesdays from 8:30 until 1. It's going to be free to all of our students, all graduates, undergraduate students, online students. If you can get to our campus, it's going to be free for you to see a medical professional. And so we're excited about that. Our students will also have priority when they call to make an appointment. They can have an appointment in place within 24 hours to see a doctor. So we're excited about that as well. And so many other benefits of working with federal health care, but again, we're really thrilled to have them on our campus. So we're going to prepare for new process procedures in the fall to make sure your students are safe. And then we're also going to be focused on the why. And I mentioned this earlier, the Great Commission. Really, if you look at these golden circles here, I think Simon Sinek came up with this, the why, the how, and the what. This is CSU's from our strategic planning guide. And everything we do at CSU revolves around this. It revolves around the Great Commission. I mean, we're trying to make sure people hear about Jesus and try to help them to grow in their faith and to be successful in this life and to be agents of change in this world. And so that is why we do what we do. So be focused on what we do. Even today, as I was hanging lights with our students out in 90-degree temperature under these tents, I was thinking, okay, so I really don't want to go out there and wear a mask in 90-degree temperature at 4 o'clock in the day. What's the best case scenario? Ladder up. What's the best case scenario of that? Then people will be able to come outside and gather in places they wouldn't be able to gather. What's the benefit of that? Then we can do some cool things outside and maybe have a chance to worship the Lord together and share the gospel. What's the cool thing about that? Someone can come to know Christ and their whole life change and the trajectory of their life change, and they serve God and make a difference in this world for eternity. So that's why we do what we do. It all circles around really the Great Commission. Lastly, here, be faithful. I mean, we're going to be fluid. We're certainly going to do that. We're going to be focused, but we're going to be faithful. We're going to finish what was started. 1 Corinthians 9:24-27 says that. And do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win. Everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control in all things. They then do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. Therefore, I run in such a way as not without aim. I box in such a way as not beating the air, but I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified. I mean, I'm a fighter at heart. I'm not going to tap out. If I can help it, I want to finish out the race. And so we're going to be faithful to go as hard as we can to get this semester through, not just stumble across the finish line, but like this runner here, with our hands held high and our chest held out, chest poked out, we're going to cross that finish line and say, to God be the glory. It's been challenging. We're going to be faithful to complete what he started. All right, it's going to be a part of that energy management. I told that about my team. All of us have the same amount of time in the day, but you have to manage your energy so you can finish the race. Let me tell you real briefly about what areas I'm responsible for, and we'll get rolling right along. We'll be through here in a second. Is that here's the area. I don't want to bore you. Don't have to read all this, so don't go, oh my heavens. This is the staff that I work with. I mentioned Laurie Deal's my assistant, but I work with Residence Life. Julia Limpich is my assistant dean. I work with the Career Center. Dr. Nina Grant is excellent. Does a great job in her area. I have assistant dean of Campus Life, Drew Meadows, who's on here tonight to help us with the orientation and intramural sports and everything else, campus recreation. Associate dean for students, Ms. Barbara Mead, has been at school over 50 years. She's got more wisdom in her pinky than most of us have in our bodies. And she's been with us. She's on our team as well. We have the director of counseling services, Kimberly Perkins. You'll hear from her in a moment. An incredible lady of God who does a great job of directing our counseling program. We have an associate VP for spiritual life, John Davis, who's, God bless him. He's probably personally led more students to Christ on campus than many churches in the whole state convention has. Got a passion for the Lord. We're blessed to have him. Our director of campus security, John Wilson, who's retired from the sheriff's department and been at CSU, got great connections. Just a super guy and leads a great team of security officers that are here to serve your student. And then we have assistant dean for student organizations and diversity, Timothy Grant, good buddy of mine, does an incredible job of organizing our board of student organizations and working with all of our clubs or organizations, helping us lead in our diversity efforts. And it's just a blessing, and a local pastor as well. And they have people working under them. I could go on and on and on, but we've got a big staff of very capable leaders. I haven't added up all the years of experience, but there's probably at least 300 or 400 years of experience on this team that they're really excited to serve with. All right, let me give you this real briefly. The vision for our student services team is through Christ-centered leadership. Student services provides the CSU community with opportunities to grow spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, and physically. And we'll be challenged this year to do some of those things because of the limitations placed on us by COVID, but we're going to work hard to make sure your students have a well-rounded education. So let me share with you how you can stay involved in what we're doing here at CSU. There are many opportunities for you and your student to get involved. Will this semester look different? It will. Is this semester going to be different than the ones in the past? It is. Will it be this way in the future? We hope not. But we're going to take the lemons and make some great lemonade. So here's what we're looking at doing here. The opportunity to get involved. Let me just share two of them with you. Is if you go to your phone, if you got an Android or Apple, download, if you will, the Buck Nation app. The Buck Nation app. And once you download that app, it's a guidebook app. Once you download that app, you'll go to It's a Buck's Life. It's called It's a Buck's Life. Under that application, there is information on there that's hundreds of pages of information. Securities information, all my staff information, every event going on campus, it's like a master calendar. It's got places to sign up for events. It's got a list of all the chapel services coming up. It's got on information. And the great thing about It's a Buck's Life app, Buck Nation app, is that it's in real time. And we can send out push notifications. So let's say that all of a sudden some t-shirts we already came in early. This happened last year. Actually, we had some left over. We said, hey, we've got 20 t-shirts left over. The first 20 up to the Dean of Students office gets them. We had 20 students up there who got free t-shirts in like 3 minutes. And so it's a great way to stay connected on what's going on campus in real time. So that's an important app. Parents, you can download it. Students certainly need to download it. And that way you can know what's going on campus. And there's even places on there to ask questions, to interact with our managers who manage the Buck Nation app. So it's a critical app. If you don't hear me say anything today about helping to navigate CSU, download the Buck Nation app. It's a Buck's Life. That's the best thing I could tell you today. And certainly visit our website, charlestonsouthern.edu. There's great information on there, a tremendous amount of helps. Almost any question you've got has already been answered just on that Buck Nation app. All right, let me roll through here, and I'm wrapping up my last slide right here. At the end of the day, you can have confidence that we're going to treat your children like we would our own children. I tell this to students every year, and I hate that I can't do it in person with you right now, but I'm going to treat your child like I would treat my children. My last son graduated from college now almost 2 years ago, and I look at your children like my own children. So whenever we make decisions that affect your student, we don't say, well, this is a commodity, this is a product, this is a paycheck, this is the student, this is your treasure, your legacy that you've entrusted to us. We're not going to always get it right. There'll be some things sometimes that we do you may not understand, but I can assure you that we're going to do the very best that we can for your student. We're going to treat your student like we would if they were our own children, and that's a promise that I make to you as the Vice President of Student Life and the Dean of Students. All right, I'm through talking. I'm going to be quiet. If you got any questions, Q&A, please ask those questions online so that we can work on that. Go to the Q&A tab there and click on that. And I'm going to step aside and let Kimberly, you're up, girl. Put the milkshake down, put the hamburger down, put the remote control down. Let's go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Perkins, just like Dean Carter said. I am the Director of Counseling Services. So a few things I'm going to be touching on are probably going to be redundant to a couple of things that Dean Carter has already stated, but definitely worth mentioning. So what to expect? If you've had other children that have been in college prior, or this is your first time, this can be nerve-wracking, it can be exciting, and it's definitely a time of transition. So with that being said, we understand all of those feelings and then some. There's several of us on this call who have children who attend Charleston Southern or other colleges, either currently or in the past. So we definitely understand how you're feeling. So let's just kind of take a look at that as we go along. Let's see, there's a few questions that several people probably have had prior to you. And one of them is, what if I want to know what's going on with like grades, like FERPA? And we all know what FERPA is. Those dreaded questions that you have to do every year. But there's a big difference in, high school and college. You could get, information about your child's grades. in high school. That is not the case in college. So, if you want that information from your child, you will need to get them to sign a waiver for you, or you could get them to give you their login information so you could kind of keep track of that. But that's really up to them. Nobody on our campus can give that to you because of FERPA, those rights are protected. So just make sure you're aware of that. Dean Carter already kind of mentioned this, but I can't emphasize enough the importance of Bug Nation. Everything that's going on campus is on there. Anything from counseling services to athletics to the career center. Everything is on there. Also, the website is a great resource. Everybody has a web page, including counseling services. If you have questions, that's definitely a place to find it. If you didn't find it on Bug Nation. So that's real important. And another thing is there's lots of academic help. And a lot of times students either aren't aware of it, not sure where to find it, but all of this is free because it's already in their tuition. You've already paid for it. But things like the Student Success Center, the Writing Lab, Math Lab, the Tutoring Center, all of that is available to them. They just have to, access those resources. If they're unsure of where to find them, they just need to ask somebody, whether it's a professor or one of us on the student services staff. But it's there. They just need to, activate it, ask for it, and it's theirs. Okay, so change. We all know change has been occurring for a long time, and now more than ever, I think probably since March, we probably are kind of tired of change. But again, here we are. Your role as a parent is changing. You're still going to be needed, and more so than ever. But your role is changing. So you kind of have an adult child now. It's kind of hard for us parents to kind of see them that way because they're always our babies. However, they are adults, and that part of their life is changing. They're not going to be in your house every day. And that can be exciting. Maybe you've been waiting for that. Maybe you're dreading it. Maybe both. Who knows? But this is a time for change. It can be exciting. It can be nerve-wracking. But nevertheless, it is change. So, I think, all of us kind of looking back, we kind of expected this to come eventually, from their first words to the first time they walked. How do we fit into the picture? I think communication is key here. So even though they're not in your home anymore, and the fact that maybe they don't need you in the same ways, they still need you. So communication and finding the time to, have that, whether, it's on a day-to-day basis, whether you're giving them, some independence, an ability to kind of find their way, finding where they fit in at college is really important, because this is a challenge for parents, because you kind of want to protect them and kind of step in and take over and manage things. But this is a time where you kind of let them navigate that with support and encouragement, and allow them to do work, because this is a time where, if they don't succeed, you can kind of step in and kind of give them some resources and say, what about this? Did you think about that? But still allowing them to have some choices and, be able to make some decisions, with the support, not just from you, but from, the campus as well, whether it's counseling or, a mentor, somebody from the ministry staff. But they're still going to need you, and that's real important. You're still, a great support in their life. So with that being said, skills that are required. Sometimes all of us do really well with certain things. Organization sometimes is better at certain times than others, but the use of a planner or a calendar is like key for most of the students I work with when developing that skill. That's one of the first things I'll ask them when they're struggling. Do you have a calendar? Are you like putting things down? That's kind of how they help with time management. being on top of it, making sure that, you know, things aren't falling through the cracks. And maybe this is their first time kind of doing that. Maybe they did that in high school. Maybe this isn't going to be an issue for them. But, you know, definitely this is going to be a requirement in college. Money management skills is another one. So whether your student had a part-time job or a full-time job in high school, or if they plan to get one while they're in college, being able to manage money and, you know, whether it's you providing the money for them or they're working for it, knowing how to manage that effectively is real important. And being, you know, alert of their stress management, self-care. So whether they work out, they're eating right, those are really important. We have a lot of resources on campus that can help them with that. And just learning to deal with conflict is something else. And I'll kind of go into that a little bit more detail later in another slide. But I see a lot of that in counseling. They'll come in because they're not really sure about how to go about some conflict that they're having with a roommate or somebody else, or how to handle disappointment. So we can kind of assist with that too. But that's something they kind of develop and something that they're going to use throughout their entire life. Whether it's, you know, working in a job or, you know, in the community somewhere where, you know, you may not necessarily have the same views or get along with somebody. So they're going to have to, you know, acquire that skill sooner rather than later. And this is a great place to do that. They will have support, not just from us, but from you, but allowing them to do that. So that's really important. Another thing is, it's real important, I always say this to parents, that students develop at different rates. College is a time where, again, we kind of let them have personal responsibility about, you know, relationships or how to handle a conflict, being able to manage, you know, academic changes and what that looks like. It can be, you know, fun. It can be exciting, you know, meeting new friends and, you know, learning to be an adult and independent. You know, we all have to be supportive in that. But it's also important for parents to remember that if you do have an older child that, you know, has been to college and they did really well, or maybe they struggled, you know, it could be just the opposite for the child that you currently have entering college. You know, they don't all handle things the same way. And maybe they handled those things great in high school, but not so much in college. You know, this is a time where, you know, they kind of are learning to develop all those skills. And it's all new for them because there's so many changes. You know, they are in a new place. They're living in a new place. Maybe they're not from Charleston, and so they have to learn about the community. So everything is new. You know, just the expectation that those changes are there and being able to support that, but, you know, understand that, you know, it may be different than what you're used to with another child. So I did mention some academic changes. And so that's real important as well to remember that, you know, obviously college is not high school. So it's going to look different. Classes may be larger or smaller. You know, their schedule could be structured. And so for them to get the most out of classes, it's real important, just like I said in a previous slide, that, you know, they stay on top of things with time management and using a calendar and, you know, being able to go and talk to a professor if they're having difficulty. You know, nobody knows that you're having an issue unless you know, communicate that. And so if they're having an issue, you know, going and using those office hours to talk to a professor is real important. You know, being able to remember that homework doesn't do itself, and that, you know, it's their responsibility. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You know, they can use resources, like I said, tutoring or something like that if they need it. But it's real important to communicate when they need assistance and help with things. Plan for visits. So this is another way to kind of keep in check with your student. And there's lots of opportunities. There's football games. If your child's involved in band or the music program, there's Parents Weekend. All of those different things are real important, and it allows you to have that connection with them and be supportive and, show that you're there. And it also promotes the opportunity to have conversations that, aren't through the phone and aren't, 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You can take them to dinner and spend some time with them, meet some of their friends, have some fun with them. Sending care package. All of them like to get cookies, all of them. Candy, fun treats like that. I've known many parents who, send things like Valentine's Day, they'll send like cookies or their favorite candy, just things like that to say, hey, I'm thinking about you, those kinds of things. Right now, our homecoming is scheduled for October 24th. Hopefully that doesn't change, but again, just keep in tune to the website and Buck Nation and, talk to your student and you'll see if there's any changes there. Another thing that's really important is decision making. Just because they're not in the house doesn't mean that, they're still a part of the family. But kind of think about the things that you want to include them in. So if it's something that they can't change or do anything about, like if it's, somebody who's really sick, about maybe grandma or something like that, think about the appropriate time to have those discussions with them, because if it's something that they can't really do anything about, decide as a family, is that something that they really need to kind of deal with? Is it going to distract them from school? Is it going to cause some issues academically for them or more stress? Also, another thing to remember is when they're coming home. Remember, they've been away, they've had some independence. They kind of didn't have a curfew. They could, come in whenever, they wanted to, if they were studying late in the library. Remember that, you may have to discuss some house rules, like what does that look like now that you're an adult and you've been away at school, just so there's no miscommunication or people end up upset or there's an expectation that you're not on the same page with. So just make sure you're having those discussions too before they come home. It's real important. Encouraging self-reliance. So again, this kind of ties back to what I was saying. I know all of us have heard about the helicopter parent. Unfortunately, some of us have all been one at one time or another. And so this is the time to kind of step back and allow them to kind of, take control of some things that maybe they haven't in the past. Be more of a coach, a mentor, somebody who's more supportive than, commanding or fixing things for them. So it's real important to allow them to do this because it teaches them life skills, and the ability to do that on their own teaches them skills that they will forever use, and they're going to need once they, leave college and get out into the world on their own. But be informed, have those open-ended conversations and talk about things in their life. So you're still needed, just in a different way. And that ties into roommate conflict, which is another thing that, a lot of times we've had parents who, they want to help out. They want to try to fix the situation. They don't want to see their child, in an issue with a roommate. They feel like maybe they can't handle it, so they try to handle it themselves. And I understand that because you just want it to be smooth sailing. But allow the roommate agreement to work. And if that doesn't work, there's mediation, there's counseling, there's ministry, the Rest Life staff are awesome. Just allow that to happen. And that's part of, growing up. And, as a last resort, we could relocate the student. But we want to teach them how to communicate and use some conflict resolution and how to deal with difficult people, because we all have those in life. So just allow that to work and encourage them to talk to the RA or counseling or something like that instead. And that ties into, roommate conflict, which is another thing that, a lot of times we've had parents who, they want to help out. They want to try to fix the situation. They don't want to see their child, in an issue with a roommate. Okay, finances. Again, this kind of ties back to, you know, having that discussion with your student about budgeting, using credit cards. You know, are they going to have a budget? Are they working? Are they, you know, saving some of that? Are they putting some aside to, you know, pay for tuition or expenses? Just make sure you're having that conversation. All too often I have, you know, students who come in who are kind of frustrated because they're like, you know, I thought my parents were going to give me this amount of money, or they just really didn't have boundaries or expectations set up. So just make sure that you're having that conversation if you haven't already, which kind of helps things move along, you know, in several weeks or months to come if that hasn't happened and there's an issue that comes up between you and your student. So encourage involvement. There are so many things, just like Dean Carter had said, and I mentioned earlier, there's lots of things to get involved in on campus. There's so many things. There's clubs and organizations. There's intramural events, athletics. There's just so much to get involved in. And so there's no reason whatsoever for your student to be sitting in their dorm room, or if they're saying to you, there's nothing to do. I have, you know, nothing to do. There's no way I can meet people. Say, look, I know that's not true. I know there's this app. I've heard about all these different things. So just encourage them. Say, look, you need to get out there, get out of your room. You're never going to meet anybody in your room just sitting there. You know, there's so many things that they can get plugged into. If they're unsure, have them talk to people. There's small groups and clubs and organizations. Any of us would be happy to help them find something, you know, to get involved in. I've even had students who said, look, I'm really not into, you know, a hiking club or something, but, you know, when I, you know, lived at home, I volunteered in the community. We have lots of things in the community that they could even get involved in. And so we could definitely help with that as well. Just encourage them. And, you know, we really depend on you to encourage them to do that, because you're going to be the first person they say, there's nothing to do. I don't know what to do. So just encourage them. It's real important. University resources. So we kind of went through a few of these already. There's also disability services. If your student had criteria that they met in high school for a disability, you know, they should definitely meet with disability services to kind of see if they could, you know, receive that kind of service here. There's career planning. Dr. Grant is awesome. Her team is awesome, you know, in, you know, helping with resumes and just being a great resource for future planning. Counseling services, you know, we are here. We have counselors that will meet with your student. They can, you know, call to make an appointment. They can come in and make an appointment. On our website, there's resources, there's an online referral there. And now because of COVID, we also have Zoom services. You know, if your student doesn't want to come in, or, you know, God forbid, if they were to be quarantined because they were exposed or something like that, we can still do services via Zoom if we need to. There's also the Writing Center, which I had mentioned before, the Learning Center, and Student Success. All resources for them at their disposal. Stress. Well, we all are no one's immune to stress, but I would say more students, more than ever, on an average 30 to 40% while enrolled and have, you know, stress or have utilized counseling services. And that was in 2016. I think that's probably increased probably over the last year. Most of the students we're now seeing come in with like anxiety more so than depression. And I think a lot of it is, you know, it relates back to social media is great. It's also not. I think that, you know, I'm sure y'all have heard this term, but FOMO, you know, the fear of missing out. You know, that's a common theme where, you know, they see on their social media that friends are having fun and there's all these great pictures, and they think that, you know, their life is so much better than theirs, and they feel that they're missing out on stuff. So I think that a lot of times that promotes more anxiety or more stress, you know, because they feel that their life isn't comparable. But we've all kind of been there. I mean, have you ever been to a friend's house where you're like, wow, their house is so clean, how they do it. Meanwhile, after we've left, they open the closet and everything falls out. So, sometimes what you see, the perception really isn't what it is or what it appears to be. So we're kind of no different in that aspect either. But, it's real important to kind of talk to them about stress management and getting help sooner rather than later if they need it. Homesick. Well, that happens to almost all freshmen, usually within the first 4 weeks. But, if they've had established roots, a great foundation from family and, just having that connection where you're talking to them and, you're having communication and just kind of revisiting with them, saying, remember why you came to Charleston Southern, just encourage them. It's really about all you can do with homesickness. If you feel that it's a little more than that, definitely have them come in and see us or talk to their RA or have them talk to somebody in the ministry. But we're all here to help get them through that tough time. Again, like I said, staying involved. I can't emphasize this enough, just like I did in the past slide, but continue to encourage them, have them talk to professors or other people that maybe they've, kind of got as a mentor or that they feel encouraged by. Maybe it's their RA or somebody from a small group. Get them out of the rooms, have them attend events, remind them that they have strengths and that they can do this and that, they just need to address what they're afraid of, whether it's not fitting in or whatever, and just, help them and encourage them. And that's really the best thing that you can do. Just have them get out and get involved. Again, like I said, getting help early is key. One of the things I wanted to mention, obviously our phone number is on the screen, and we do a lot of outreach. We go into classrooms at request to talk about stress management or sometimes performance stress if it's like music therapy or something like that. But self-care a lot of the times with like the nursing program or PA program. But we do a lot of those events about preventative awareness. And so another thing to kind of mention is we have a program that's called Safe Harbor, and it permits a student, if they are struggling from the use of illegal drugs, that they have the option of kind of coming forth and saying, on their own free will, that, they have an issue to get help. And they wouldn't be subject to disciplinary sanctions if they did that on their own. This is real important for them. Drug testing may be required, and it would be paid for by the student. But this program is there to not be punitive, but to get them the help that they need. And so that's real important for them to realize, that the support is also there for them. Even if they're having something like that or they're struggling with a drug or alcohol issue. We provide individual counseling. We do group counseling, consultations. We work with the athletic staff. We have an intern that's over there as well. They do a lot of consultations with coaching staff over there and can do them, with individual teams. We do referrals if a student needs maybe a little bit more support or something that we can't necessarily provide. We would be able to refer them out to community referrals. All services are confidential. So with that being said, if you call to say, I want to know if my child is coming to counseling, we can't share that information with you. But if you have something that you feel we should know about your child, I can definitely listen. Any of our staff can listen, but we would never share that information because that would be confidential and a violation of HIPAA. So the things that we don't provide is we don't do long-term therapy. We don't provide psychiatric services, so we don't do the management or something that would be long-term in that capacity, but we could definitely refer out if that's something that they need. Again, things to remember. It's confidential, like I said. It is free of charge for all enrolled students of Charleston Southern. And we work closely with all of student services to meet your child's needs. And so with that being said, we get referrals from maybe Res Life or ministries. If they think that maybe your child needs to be seen, they can refer them to us. So graduation is sooner than you think. And I know that you were probably excited about that. Your student will be excited about that. I just encourage you to take it in stride and to enjoy this transition. As nerve-wracking as it is in the beginning, it won't always be that way. It's a time of encouragement, and if there's anything that we can do, please feel free to reach out. If you have questions or concerns, we're here. So welcome to the family, and if you have questions, I know that they're kind of taking questions. I'm not sure if you had some already, but ask away.
Yeah, okay. I think we're back in real world here. I got rid of the screen we shared. Thank you so much, Kimberly, and everyone for helping. Got a couple more questions that y'all sent in. I'll answer for you and the best we can. Let me see here. Will Elevate still be held on Thursday this semester? The answer is yes. Some will be virtual, some will be in person, some will be indoors, some will be outdoors. We're trying every trick of the book that we know to pull it off. So it will not be 400 people sitting in the chapel singing at the top of their lungs, raising their hands and having a great time. We would love to see that, but it also get us all probably locked up and sick. So we won't be able to do that. I see John Davis. John, you're on. You want to jump in and talk a little bit about that? John's our VP of Spiritual Life, so it's great to have him.
Yes, we will have Elevate at 8 o'clock on Thursday nights. We will meet in person twice a semester with the COVID rules. There'll be a 200 limit. And then the other two will be virtual, though it'll be live. It'll be on Instagram Live, Instagram TV, and Facebook Live. And so what we have during that time, there'll also be watch parties where people are meeting in their discipleship groups and having watch parties. So we're really excited, and we're excited about our discipleship groups. We are allowed to have our women's ministry Render meet. They meet once a month, and then they have 3 weeks of discipleship groups. One of them is they'll do some local ministry, and our men's group Pursue will meet as well. We'll also have dorm Bible studies, off-campus Bible studies. So there's a lot of ways to get connected. We're also still looking at missional opportunities as well, local, North American mission, international, those type of things, what we can do and can do without the COVID. So we're excited. There's a lot going on.
Let me say one thing that John said that I know John didn't mean to say this. John said we're going to have Elevate twice a semester, live twice a semester.
I'm sorry, twice a month.
Twice a month. So like what? So yeah, twice a month. So it'll be exciting. I mean, if you've never been to Elevate, and I've said this for many years, I think the best worship service in that area for college students is Elevate. I mean, God works, you'll see things happen there, and the quality of worship and worshiping with college students is one of the greatest joys of my life is to be a part of something like that. So if your student wants to say, where do I get connected on campus spiritually? How do I get connected? Elevate is the hub of the wheel. You need to be a part of that in person or virtually. That will get you connected to all kinds of things.
And let me add as well, so you're welcome to get that Buck Nation app. Download that. All the information is on Buck Nation. Also, I want to sing Dr. Costin's praises. I know he's on here and he's my boss. If y'all want to talk to him about getting me a raise and Vice President Clark, feel free to do that. Put that in your prayer list. I'm just kidding. But I see you, Dr. Costin. But we have chapel every week. Now, in the fall, it will be online. But Dr. Costin is leading us spiritually. Vice President Carter is leading us spiritually, and we have chapel every week, and we are so excited. We just filmed one today with 2 of our professors, one in the College of Education, one in our College of Nursing. They're phenomenal on fire. I just can't wait for this semester. So we want you to be involved in that as well, and to see those. We have a YouTube channel. It will be for the students. It will be posted on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock on Blackboard. That's our learning management system under our courses, but it'll also be on our YouTube channel and on Facebook Live.
I will say it's going to be a different semester. Dr. Costin has mentioned this several times. If there were no challenges, you wouldn't need leaders. So we've got our shared challenges this year. And I met today with the OTLs who helped us do some work under the tent, hanging those lights, and just said, hey guys, I mean, let's all put our masks on in 90-degree heat. We got to set the example. We're going to work hard. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to stumble, whatever else. But we're going to give it the best effort. This school, this semester is going to be one for the record books. If we honor the Lord and give it our very best, I think we'll have an incredible semester. I agree with John. I'm really not pessimistic. I'm optimistic about new opportunities. It's going to be different. I think that's the biggest thing for returning students. Will say, it wasn't like this last year. And no, it wasn't. It's going to be different, but difference not always bad. I mean, difference can be good. And so we're excited about you sending your student to us. Dr. Costin, you want to wrap this thing up for us, or?
Yes. Hey, thanks again, Clark and Kimberly and John and the others of you who are behind the scenes making this happen. I so appreciate it. Thanks to all you parents. First of all, I'll just reiterate what I said before, and that is thanks for raising these kids. You know, and I know you love them more than we ever will, but we certainly will try our best to love them as Christ loves them. And our strong desire is that the 4 years of their time at Charleston Southern, which will not be perfect. There will not be there's not a perfect college any place, but we will have in mind every step of the way that we're not just giving them degrees, or we're not just having them earn degrees. We're teaching them skills to succeed in life. The most important of which is how to be a follower of Jesus Christ who goes into every sphere of influence and makes a difference for the kingdom. And that's what we want to happen here. That's why, it's so important for us to have a safe and effective experience on campus this semester, so that relationships can be built with professors and staff and coaches and fellow students. And so this will be a different semester, but I think there'll be a whole lot that we're all going to learn about who God is and who we are. And our dependence upon him, I think, is increasing, many times more than it otherwise would have. And so we wouldn't have wished this on any of us or any of you, but here we are, and we're excited. I'm proud of the team of faculty, staff, and really many student leaders who are stepping up to the plate. And we look forward to seeing what the Lord does this semester. We have two goals, broadly speaking. The first is to open the campus. The second is to keep it open. All right. So we have every intention of following all the guidelines that we know. Lots of advice out there. We're following the guidelines as best we can. And we're very confident that what happens on our campus in our eyesight is going to be following those guidelines. Where we can use some of your help is if you would encourage your students, your children, to follow similar guidelines when they're off the campus. And so we're concerned about their safety. We're confident on campus. We want them to make sure that until such time as we're out of the woods of the pandemic, that we're following the guidelines off campus as well. And so, we're going to be finished with our semester the day before Thanksgiving. And so we're all looking forward to Thanksgiving, and we're going to have a lot to be thankful for on that day. And so God bless y'all very much. So appreciate who you are. Looking forward to meeting many of you face to face. And so have a good night.